Hi, welcome back. This is part 2 of how to use metal foil to create a natural metal finish on model aeroplanes. You need to watch part 1 to put a bit of context behind this it shows how to use some of the techniques to do it. This is basically to show how to foil a more complicated shape than just a flat surface or a basic curve. Now, I did do one video already on this, but I've decided not to show it because it's an hour and a half long. It took so long to do this, I'm just not going to bother showing it because I can't imagine anyone wanting to watch an hour and a half video. So I've done this one instead. So this is how to do the top cowling of a Spitfire. Roll the footage and have fun. Hi, welcome back. Here we go. Right, I've prepped up the part. What I do now when I'm doing this job, I tend to prefer now to put the actual glue on the part. And I dry it with the hairdryer. It's just quicker and it dries really fast with the hairdryer. So there's a tip for you. So you could approach this more than one way. You could put the piece on the top and then work side to side, or you could try starting at one edge and working that way. I'm not sure with this. I'm going to try it with it on the top and work either side, and we'll see how it goes. So basically, just centering the part. You could do it this way actually to make it more accurate. Like that. Ensure when you put the glue on, by the way, you put plenty of glue on the overlaps. You can put some more on afterwards, but it's better to do it now. So that gives me enough working foil at each side of the part. So got a nice bond in the middle. Don't worry about little bumps and lumps, we'll get those out afterwards. Just make sure there's a nice bond in the middle. Now this part, it does curve in quite a lot of different directions, and it might not look much, but I've done one of these before and it's really hard to do. So you've got to take your time with this. At the moment I'm just using my fingers because there's no sign of any kinks starting to form. When you start to see a crisscrossy tight kink forming, then you need to start to think about getting the metal to bend and shape. So at the moment we're doing alright. See, there's one already started there, look. Can you see that little kink? It doesn't take long because it doesn't want to bend. There you go, so we need to start on that. So what I'm going to try and do is get most of the uniform curve done first. I've been thinking about what models lend themselves well to this process. Italian Starfighter, I mentioned it earlier, maybe, I don't know. That's a really nice model to build actually. It needs a little bit of cleanup when you're building it, but the actual model is quite nice for foiling because it's only the fuselage you need to do. Well, the tail plane needs foiling, but the wings are painted. At least on the American version of it. If you buy the German one, that's camo anyway. But yeah, it's a nice model to do that, and the shape of it is really nice. It doesn't have a right lot of complications in it. The only complicated part in the whole thing is the air intakes on the side of the fuselage, but even those aren't too bad. So yeah, that's a recommendation I can make for sure. As you may have seen on the pictures on video 1, I've done the P51. I did the Rebel one as a test. That's a nice model to do as well because, again, not all of it's foiled. I'm not saying foil is bad, it's just if you want to get on with it and have a go, you don't want to be doing the whole model like it, you want to just try bits of it. So yeah, that's a nice model to do as well because just the fuselage and parts of the wings are foiled. Look up the history of it, it's interesting airplanes, the P51. So yeah, F-86 Sabre, again, I've never done one in foil, but looking at the shape of it, I think it could do well out, that one. So yeah, there's standards, aren't there? A Lightning, I'd love to do a Lightning. This is the English Electric Lightning, of course. I'd like to do the P38 as well. I think Trumpet to do a 32nd scale one, but that won't be an easy one to do for sure because it's absolutely riddled with curves like this. So I wouldn't say it's one to try out first of all. English electric lighting and the jet, I think, could be quite easy. Just again, that looks pretty uniform. So, right, check your work. As you when you're putting foil on, you can't see where you're going because the foil's covering it. So you need to keep turning the part over and having a look. Yeah, these front engine nacelles they're really hard to do. You could do this front part in a separate piece altogether because there is a join there. There is a seam line just here where the cowl must be riveted together. So in theory you could do that bit as in a separate part and then just do these afterwards if it went wrong. So what I might do is with this, I'll keep pursuing this, but if this goes wrong I'll take this part off, finish this off and then do this as a separate part. But you don't know until you try it, so you get an idea because you get used to what can go wrong with them. So when you start hitting it now with the burnishing tool, I've also found my nail works quite well. Just keep pressing it down with my nails. In fact, it works very well. I used to bite my nails, so I suppose it's quite a new concept. I haven't been them for quite a while, but I've not done any filing for quite a while either. So yeah, it's a nice way of doing it actually. Got a kink there. The odd kink you can sand out, but it is really best if you can avoid them. Yeah, just keep pulling it back and then smooth it back out again, get rid of the kink. If you can do this front part, the rest of it should be reasonably easy. See a bit of detail coming through there with the access hatches coming through. Once you get to the edge, you kind of can breathe a sigh of relief. At any point this could just tear, and if it does that, I'm afraid it's toast. You've got to start again. I'm doing this for I want to make sure it sticks to the part. It's been lifting a bit as that. It's kind of encouraged it to stick down better. So you see how much more we've got to go. Still a long ways that. It might not look much, but it is. I'm going to do an easy bit just to check. As I was saying, at least if this bit goes on at the front, I can save most of this by doing the back part first. in this case, filing panel lines are your friend, because give you the opportunity to cut and put a new piece in. And you can fake it as well and put your own panel line in, I suppose. Depends how, if you're a rivet counter. I'm not really a rivet counter, but I do like to try and make things accurate if I can, but if it stops you finishing or doing something else, you've got to kind of compromise. So yeah, the back bit's not doing bad. It's still got a long way to go on it. There's a lot to... When you start having a go at this, you'll start to realise nothing's a straight line anymore. It's a bit like riding fast motorbikes. There's no such thing as a straight road on a fast motorbike. I've already filmed a video on how to do this, but I did it on a part that was more complicated than this, and it ended up being far too long to the videos, and I just don't think people would want to watch an hour-and-a-half video on how to do this, so I'm doing it again basically. I'm trying to make this shorter. Now I've got to the, whatever they call those bolt thing, connector things. They're a pain, these little rivet bolted, they're basically like a turnbuckle connector on the engine cowling on the Spitfire. They're horrible to foil. Well, they're alright, but you tend to find the lift sometimes because of the way that the glue works. But yeah, you can get around it. I don't know whether they weren't there really. Yeah. Let's lift that off again, so I don't want that kink in it. So you lift the foil away from the surface, smooth it out again with you now. And when you lift it off the surface and do this, you're stretching the metal. It's very important when you do this to make sure you get an overlap. It's a bit like wallpapering, isn't it? I suppose. If you didn't leave that lapped over, it'll just come off all the time. It'll drive you nuts. It does that anyway. To be fair, it can be quite frustrating kind of filing. When the model's done and it's finished and it's on its stand or wherever you're putting it, it's fine. But while you're doing it, you'll find that it constantly little bits, the edges come up and you catch them, and you've got to handle it appropriately. You know, it's not it's kind of strong, but it's delicate. Just the glue can only hold on to it for so long. So we've got quite a big piece there now that I've got to try and get to go around that corner, which is, I don't know if that's going to do it actually. I'll try it. It's like trying to fit a bigger item into a smaller space, and it's hard. Right, we're not doing alright, that might be alright. Yeah, I think we've got away with it. The little catch things are all. So now we're at that corner, and I've got quite a lot of spare there, which I don't want. I've got to try and stretch it out. Be careful with the point, you end up shoving it through the aluminium. It will be getting quite thin at this point with this metal. So now I'm putting pressure on to pull it and lift it. It's becoming very vulnerable to tearing. So can you see how difficult this piece really is? It doesn't look much, but it is. I think they're there though, I think they're not far off of this bit. Oh, it's so thin there though. I think I might have done that. There's a little bit of a disadvantage with this part as well, is it flexes. If you were doing a fuselage, it's rock solid, it doesn't move, it's quite thick plastic and it doesn't move at all. This is this bit of in a cowl like this, it can bend a little bit, so it doesn't, every time you kind of flex it, it pulls the metal away from the plastic, so you're fighting against that a little bit as well. So I think we've made that, I'm quite pleased with that, that's a win. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to, in fact I'll do the, I don't know, I might put some more, there's enough glue on there. I want a good bond for this bit to bond to on this side, and because I've been handling it, as much as I have put glue on there, I'll have worn it all off, so I want to put some more glue on here to give it something to stick to. So I'm going to do that. I'll just let me go off camera. I'm going to put some glue on here, do that fold, and then I'll finish this bit off camera. Okay, I've painted, I've put some more glue brush into here and in there, and just let it run in there, and I've hit it with a hairdryer to dry it off. So that gives me more opportunity to get this to bond better. So I can now, I feel quite confident that I'm going to trim this side. It's just, if you get rid of the excess bits, it's easy to hold the whole thing. And if I can get this edge reasonable, it's easier to handle and work. I can't do that edge much. I can trim a bit of it off. And I can do to I would normally kind of do it all, but I want to kind of get that done, because it's just a really nice, really horrible bit to do this, because you can feel the plastic flexing actually. It's like it's quite unpleasant to use, awkward to do. I think unpleasant's the wrong word, but yeah, I need to. Let's cut that corner. So now. When you get these little rivety things that stick up, try and get them to glue down on the rivet, so I can lift there. There's no can about it, they do. I'll have to cut that corner off. Obviously with this particular aircraft, I don't know if you're familiar with the kit, it doesn't matter, but to fit, this panel fits onto an airframe and then it's designed to come off again. So if you're going to do that with this particular model, you'd have to think ahead and work out how you're going to accommodate the thickness of the foil, and if it's practical to do so, etc, etc. But every model's different. So I'm just trying to get a nice clean edge there that won't lift off in the future. It also makes it easier to handle everything if you've got a good fold over on these points here. Now if you look on this side, there's a little, well, there's kind of a little step in there. So I'm going to try and make it so it fits into that step. And then cut it at that point. Okay, so we're going to get a lead on that. I think this is a reasonably sharp blade. And most kits don't have removable panels and things, so this wouldn't be an issue. But this one definitely does. So quite happy with that. That's not bad. So that's that side done, which I'm quite pleased with that. That's gone way, it went easier than I expected actually. So what I'm going to do now off camera, I'm going to finish this side and I'll come back to you when it's completed, and I'll show you how to deal with, there's like a little, I'm going to show it later, but there's basically a little vent hole scoop on here and I'll show you how to deal with that. Okay, we're back. It's gone really well as this piece. I'm really happy with it. Managed to get that side down there. I've completed this side. I'm just in the process of sanding it now, just to get some little scratches out and stuff like that. Now what's really important with foiling, and I've mentioned it already I think, try and get a good overlap, because if you don't you'll be catching it all the time. And in this case it's done really well. So I've managed to, what I've started doing now, as I was doing it, if I found it wasn't bonding in a certain area at the edges, stopping, put some more glue in that edge and then dry it off with a hairdryer and then put it back again so you get a good bond. And it's important that you get this, because you get this lovely edge now that I can work with, and it's not catching on things, you know, you can handle it and hold it. And I've got those edges good all the way around now, so I'm really pleased with how this piece has gone. I'm doing some more work on this now because I've got an Edward upgrade kit for the flaps and everything on this kit, so I'm going to add, I might as well do it while I'm doing this video, I'm going to add the upgrade parts that go inside the cowl. So I'm going to go do that bit now. Will I do that bit now? Yeah, I'll do that bit now. I'll get that bit done and then that's all finished, and then we'll work on how to get this piece here. Now this piece is this. It's a tiny little cover that goes on there. If I can show it. Not sure which way up it goes. I think it goes that way. It only goes one way, believe it or not. It fits into those little grooves there. Things like this are what make life hard. If I'd have fitted that before I filed the plate this, it would have caused me a lot of problems, because it would have deformed that part of the metal as it was being folded over, and you just couldn't have done it, it'd have ruined it. So what I'm going to do when I've done the rest of it, which will take moments for you, you glue this bit on and then you file over the top of it and cut around it. So I'll show you how to do that shortly. Back in a bit. Okay, so I've prepped up, I've glued this part on. It is a small piece that, and it looks quite daunting, but that will foil dead easy, but it wouldn't have foiled well on before, so you get the idea. So basically to foil this is quite simple. You can just stick that on there like that. Because it's quite a small piece, it will be quite easy to do in this case. So we'll just go for it really. But to do it to try and do it before would have, no, it wouldn't have worked. You could paint this little bit I suppose, and then just glue it on afterwards. Trying to foil it off this would be near impossible because you wouldn't be able to hold it. So it's always better to do small things attached to something else if you can. The ends are going to be quite tricky I guess, but we'll work that one out. I'm just going to create a little lip on that end. Also, if you think about it, this I suppose this is a vent, but there's a hole underneath it in reality. But inside part of it would be foiled, and you wouldn't be able to get foil inside that if it was attached to the model to start with. So you have to do it off. Do it this way around really for it to work. I'm stretching that as much as I can over the ends. And then it's a case of good blade actually, I don't want a crap one. I'm going to cut it a bit big there, I think, yeah, a little bit big there. And now, there's a tricky bit in it, cutting around that part, so I want to cut it a little bit big again. I don't mind it being big because it just looks like it's bolted onto it. And that should come off now. A bit of coaxing. There we go. So I get a little holes in there. So that's got an overlap on it. You see it's got a tiny overlap on it, which I don't mind at all. Same again there. And because we've gone a little bit wide on that front edge, you can just roll it over. And the same on the end. And a toothpick, so that's not really super glue on it. And then just poke the ends in there. And that's it. I think that's quite satisfactory, really. Just need to get some the IPA that you use. If you're going to use it for anything else, have a separate jar just for this, because it ends up kind of a bit full of glue, really. Yeah, kind of a bit manky. One filed event, so I'm just going to give that a quick wipe over. I've polished most of it anyway. I'm not going to go mad on the polish on this because I think it's enough, is that? I think that's enough for now anyway. I may polish it some more later on. I don't want to go too mad on it, 'cause if you overdo it you can end up taking the foil off these little rivety parts here. Which I'd rather not do if I can help it. What I did do, off camera, I've added the PE parts I was talking about to these edges. There's like a bit of detailed PE that goes in the bottom there, which is the framework for this here, and the framework for these two accesses, getting them in the right places. I just guessed, because nobody's ever going to say a lot. Well, I wouldn't anyway. They're not the right place, but they're near enough for me. So yeah, and then painted in there. I've kind of made a rod for my own back really doing this, because this part now probably won't fit on the model anymore. It might, but I'm going to have to modify the framework and everything considerably to do that. But anyway, it's irrelevant. It's not relevant to this video. So that's how you do a complicated part. Now that the file's on there, and it's well and truly trapped behind those parts as well, which is good. And it's nicely formed over the edges, so I can handle that quite well without doing any harm to it, which is great. So always be mindful when you're filing, try and get the edges nicely bonded, trapped behind something and well sealed in, and then it makes your life easier. So there you go, I hope that was helpful, and I'll catch you in a bit.